And to this very day, I still thank my son. I tell him, I said, you saved my life.
But Cutolo's need for revenge still isn't satisfied, and he's got nowhere to turn. But if killing his father's murderers isn't an option, what is?
The anger that was inside me had melted into a feeling of being hopeless.
Wild Bill Cutolo, underboss for the Colombo crime family, has been killed by members of his own mafia family. His son desperately wants revenge, but knows that pulling the trigger could get him killed too.
I don't know who's my friend, who's not my friend. No matter how hard I tried, nobody would tell me what they thought. They would just go, I don't know, Billy.
Nobody would tell him a thing. And there's very good reason for that. When you're in the mob and you have information about other crew members or the boss of the family or underboss of the family, if you give that information up and it results in one of those people being harmed or threatened, you've signed your own death warrant.
The betrayal forces Billy Jr. to see the Colombo crime family for what it really is.
I said to myself, wow, Pop, they fed you a bunch of your whole life, huh? Your whole life you fed into this garbage. These people were not your friends. And if they were not your friends, they definitely were my friends.
Billy Jr. knows now that mafia life is no longer an option.
I was not going to give my time. I was not going to give my blood, my sweat, nothing to that life anymore.
But somehow he still wants to avenge his death.
The anger that was inside me had melted into a feeling of being hopeless.
The FBI knows Junior's emotional state could make him the perfect informant. 3 weeks after his father's disappearance, they go to him with a plan, a new opportunity for revenge, a plan to take down the family.
I'm in the front of my father's house and I'm watering plants and I see the hand out the window and I see the badge. I was raised not to talk to the law. Wouldn't you want to know what happened to your dad? I said, absolutely, of course I would. What kind of a son would I be if I wouldn't want to know? And that was the shot that got me in the chest. I must have thought about it for about 30 seconds.
Billy Jr. decides his father's memory is more important than the mob's sacred code of silence.
And he decided to break the cycle of violence and do what he felt was the right thing and let the law handle it.
Going against everything he learned as a mobster, he agrees to cooperate with the feds and hands over his father's secret ledgers.
His dad had kept journals, business records, if you will, of his illegal business. He had dates, times, locations, amounts, and this was priceless, a treasure trove of information for the feds.
He also agrees to wear a wire to collect evidence. He convinces his mafia associates that he's simply a grieving son ready to return to the mob. While posing as a good soldier, Billy Jr. records more than 100 different mob conversations. Among those recorded is the friend who betrayed Wild Bill, Jackie DeRoss. Jackie's been threatening the Cutolos.
Hey, Jackie. Hey, how you doing? Good.
Telling them to keep their mouths shut about the Colombo family and Wild Bill's murder.
Ladies, hey.
You know, he comes by my mom, my dad's house in Staten Island. Jackie's like, listen, guys, you can't let anybody know how you feel like that. He tells my sister.
You got a couple of kids, don't you?
Sister's like, yeah.
Be ashamed if something happened to them.
This was all picked up. The a**hole burned himself to death, just talking stupidly.
But when Cutolo tells his family his plans for revenge, their reaction surprises him.
I thought that they were going to look at me like a hero, but it wasn't like that.
And the FBI surprises Cutolo with news of its own.
He says, Billy, it's over. And the tears, I couldn't stop them.
November 2001, the FBI is closing in on the Colombo crime family in Brooklyn. Key to their investigation is Billy Cutolo Jr., the son of a mafia underboss who went to a family meeting and never came back.
Billy, what do you want?
Now he wants the mob to pay.
I set out to avenge my father's murder. Let them burn the money that they stole by paying lawyers, and let them rot for the rest of their life sitting in a 9x9.
At the completion of Billy's 18 months working with the FBI to gather evidence, he was going to be going the witness protection program, but before he could, there was one thing he had to do, a very important thing for him personally. He had to tell his mom and his family what he'd been doing for 18 months.
On Thanksgiving Day, Billy Jr. comes clean about the FBI.
My whole family was there, my aunts, my sisters, my mom, the kids. Guys, I'm gonna be leaving in a couple of days. I'm out of here.
He tells them he's been cooperating with the feds to find out who killed their father.
And everybody's at the table like, what? They had no idea that that's the route I was going.
Done is done now. Just ain't know what to do about it now.
After the shock settles in, the reactions aren't good. They can't believe he's a rat.
I really thought that I was gonna get a different response. I thought that they were gonna look at me like a hero, but it wasn't like that.
Next, he breaks the news that he's going into the witness protection program and encourages his mother, his sisters, and their families to do the same. Knowing they're not safe, they reluctantly pack up their lives and change identities. But his family members never get over the shock of his actions and blame Billy Jr.
The sad part about it all is that I don't have a relationship with them anymore. They still question whether it was the right thing to do.
Later that year, more than a dozen members of the Colombo family, including Jackie DeRoss and Colombo mob boss Alley Boy Persico, are arrested because of Billy Jr.'s cooperation. The charges cover everything from extortion to racketeering. 6 years later, in 2007, William Cutolo's body still hasn't been found. But Jackie DeRoss and Alley Boy are finally convicted of plotting his murder.
I was asked to come to court in Long Island, and I'm looking at them, dead in their eyes. You made two mistakes, I said. You killed my father, but you didn't kill me.
Jackie DeRoss and Alley Boy Persico are given life sentences, which they are still serving.
The judge looked at me and said, Mr. Cutolo, I want to thank you on behalf of the government for your cooperation, for your dedication, and I hope to God that you live a long and prosperous life.
There are no charges against Billy Jr., and he returns to his new life outside the mob. A year later, October 2008, investigators find the body of Wild Bill Cutolo.
I remember getting on the phone, talking to the FBI agent. He says, Billy, it's over.
Wild Bill was wrapped in a tarp and buried near the railroad tracks in a small Long Island town.
The guy who dug the hole, he flipped, cooperated. There was a calm that came over me. And the tears, I couldn't stop them. I remember calling my wife and telling her, hon, they found Daddy.
Billy Jr. finally has closure, but there's a price to be paid for revenge. The mob never forgets or forgives a rat. He knows he's taking a risk by coming out of hiding to tell his story.
I feel like I will always be hunted for as long as I'm breathing, wherever I go.
If you tell, if you become a witness, if you go against your crew, your family, there's going to be a hit contract out on you.
He still believes avenging his father was worth the high price he paid. And despite his dark history, he's found some kind of peace.
I know when I go to sleep at night that I did the right thing. And most importantly, I broke the cycle. You know, the father's a gangster,